Hi guys, it's Tammy. Welcome to my channel. I know I've been missing for a month or so, but it's winter. I've been hibernating, and winter is the perfect time to talk about vanilla perfumes. So if you're interested to see what my top 5 vanilla fragrances are right now, then just keep watching. So I feel like we all love wearing vanilla perfumes in the winter. They're very comforting, they're very cozy, and you can get away with wearing sweeter perfumes in the winter because it's cold outside. Like in the summer when it gets hot, perfumes can get very cloying and overwhelming and become too sweet very easily. Winter is a time where we can wear those sweet perfumes and we don't have to worry about them overwhelming us and becoming too sickening. And the 5 vanillas that I chose, I would say that none of them are really gourmand. I really like a balanced vanilla. I don't like something that is just pure vanilla and all sweetness. I like it to be balanced with florals and woods and spices and a lot of different notes, not just plain old vanilla. Now, if you stick around to the end of the video, I'll tell you about 12 vanilla perfumes that I sprayed in preparation for this video. I was trying to pick my top 5. I sprayed 12 vanillas on tester strips, and as I was smelling them for like 2 days, just kept picking these 12 up and smelling them and thinking about them, I challenged myself to come up with a dessert that each perfume reminded me of. Now, I'm not saying that these are gourmand perfumes. They don't necessarily smell exactly like desserts, but I said to myself, if I had to choose a dessert to match each perfume, what would I choose if I had to? And so I came up with 12 desserts that I think that the 12 that I sprayed smell like. So stick around to the end if you want to see what those are. So the first vanilla I want to talk about today is Let's Be Real by Confessions of a Rebel. I first found this on the Scentbird website. I don't believe it's available on there anymore, but it's still available on the Confessions of a Rebel website. And I think a travel size is around 38 Canadian, which is only 28 American. So if you want to try it out, that's a very reasonable price. And the 100 ml is 160 Canadian, 125 American. So Let's Be Real is kind of your typical floral, musky, woody vanilla, with vanilla being by far the most prominent note in this to me. You could almost call this basic. Even though there's nothing really groundbreaking about it though, I do find that this is irresistible to people. It's as a compliment magnet. Everyone just goes crazy over this. I wore this over the holidays and went to a girls' night, and all my friends were like, oh my gosh, what are you wearing? That is beautiful. You smell so good. The top notes are orange blossom, orange peel, and lavender. Now, I don't necessarily detect really an orange smell, and I definitely don't detect lavender. I think that those are in there giving a freshness and a lightness to this perfume that keep it from becoming too heavy, because you do have tonka bean and vanilla bean, and I think that those could tend to get a little heavy if you didn't have those lighter, fresher notes in there. There is cashmere woods and there's crystallized musk. Don't those sound good? And then you also have some other white florals like jasmine and tuberose. So you can kind of get an idea of what this smells like, can't you? Just from hearing those notes. Now, when you're hearing orange blossom and jasmine and tuberose and you're thinking, man, that's a lot of white florals, I just want to say that if you're someone who likes jasmine only sometimes, or tuberose only when it's like this, or if you only like orange blossom in certain situations, this is the time you're going to like those 3 white florals. This is when you will like them. So I actually compared this to Good Girl Supreme, and I found that this is a more kind of rounded version of Good Girl Supreme, where that has just a little bit of sharpness and smokiness to it. This is just like all rounded. There's no edges to this. It's just very smooth. There's something about this too. I don't know if it's the tonka bean or the vanilla bean, that woodiness or something. It almost comes off a little bit chocolatey to me. So that's a good thing. I love chocolate, but I don't like perfumes that have chocolate in them typically. So yeah, Let's Be Real by Confessions of a Rebel. This is a gorgeous vanilla, beautiful, balanced, rounded, sweet, but not too sweet. I love this one. So the next vanilla I want to talk about is Maximalist by Deck of Scarlet. You guys, this is so underrated. It's so magical. This is a magical perfume to me. I have actually featured this perfume in one of my videos before. It was not one that actually got a lot of views, but it's still up there. But I just wanted to talk about this again because this is beautiful and I want to tell you all about it. First of all, I discovered it through the Scentbird website. Again, I had a decant of this. It was an instant absolute love. And I purchased this through the Scentbird website. Now it's not available on there now, but you can still get it on the Deck of Scarlet website. There is similar pricing to Let's Be Real. So a travel size of this is $40 Canadian, around 30 US. And the 100 ml is 155 Canadian, 120 US. So again, I think very reasonable, especially for if you're getting this much perfume. This is a very fruity vanilla, but it also has a lot of earthiness. It's very fluffy, puffy, spunky, beautiful. This one opens up with a lot of fruit. There's crisp pear, there is green apple, there's juicy pineapple, and sparkling bergamot. I think that probably pineapple and pear are the two most prominent fruits that I get in this. The fruit in this is very bold and very sexy, but it still never overtakes the vanilla. The vanilla is present through the entire wear of this one. There's never a moment in the entire wear of this perfume that I don't smell the vanilla as well as the other notes with it. So balanced. There are some florals. There's jasmine and rose petals, and there's also rich patchouli in the mid. Now, I don't know what rich patchouli means, but the type of patchouli that I get in this is not sharp, it's not harsh, it's not dirty, maybe it's a little bit green. I would say it's probably green. But there's also cedarwood and there's amberwood in this, and that combined with the patchouli gives me the impression that I am walking through a pine forest. It smells almost like a fresh pine tree mixed with vanilla and mixed with fruit. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Now it has a note of soft suede. I think I do get that because it's a very grounded perfume, especially in the dry down. You get a very grounded feeling. This perfume blows my husband away every time I spray it. I can spray this in the other room and he's in, what did you just spray? He goes crazy over this. I can't say enough about this perfume. Like, it is so interesting and different and amazing, but yeah, it's just a vanilla. There's vanilla in every part of the wearing of this perfume. Oh my word, you guys. I like that it's a solid bottle, but I also like that you can see the level of the juice through the bottom. This is a super heavy bottle. The cap also has quite a nice weight to it. Like, it's not real light. It's plastic, but this is like, my hand's getting tired here holding this. It's not as heavy as a bottle that I have coming up, but it's pretty heavy. So if you like Après by Ellis Brooklyn, this is very similar to Après in some ways. They do share quite a few notes. The notes they have in common are patchouli, suede, cedar, vanilla, and they both have some additional woods in them. This is just like Après, but with the suede toned down and the fruitiness amped up. So if you like Après, but you wish it was just a little bit sweeter, a little bit less earthy and less woody, and had a little bit more vanilla and that fruity sweetness to it, then you're gonna have Maximalist by Deck of Scarlet. Also in the base notes, this has whipped vanilla. And I can honestly detect like a very whipped, light, fluffy, this is like a vanilla, not whipped cream, but like actual whipped vanilla. That's hard to explain, but I can actually detect that in this. The suede and the amber woods just give it like a really grounded, earthy feel. The cedar wood and the patchouli give it that crisp pine forest feeling. I can always smell the fruit through the whole thing too. It's not overwhelming. The only thing I can't necessarily pick up unless I really think about it is the apple. I guess it's in there, but it's not an apple-y fragrance at all. It's a whipped vanilla fragrance, a very woody, it's, okay. So I could go on about this all day. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to just say Maximalist by Deck of Scarlet. It's at least worth a try. And like I said, a travel size is only 30 US. You might want to give it a try. So the next vanilla on my list, I actually wore on Christmas morning, and this is Mercurial Cashmere by ELECTIMUSS. This is a very special vanilla. Like, it's really different. I actually got a really great deal on this on Fragrance Buy. I got it for the equivalent of about 155 US, which I thought was a pretty good price for this brand. ELECTIMUSS can be a little bit on the pricier side. This is the other heavy bottle that I was talking about. I'm going to probably get a cramp in my hand from holding this. It is so heavy. And the cap is a weapon. Don't drop this on your toe. I'm telling you. Now this has top notes of cardamom, bergamot, and pink pepper, mid notes of tuberose, iris, ambergris, and violet, and base notes of caramel, vanilla, cashmere wood, tonka bean, musk, cedar, and agar wood, in brackets, oud. Now, I can smell, if I really think about it, I can detect almost every single note that I just mentioned. Like, it's a very balanced, again, very balanced vanilla. And I can smell vanilla through the entire wear. And this is probably the most linear out of all of these. This smells the same from when I spray it until 8 hours later when I'm still smelling it on myself. It smells exactly the same. This is quite a sweet fragrance. Like, this is almost as sweet as I would go. It has a lot of powderiness. Now it does have iris and violet, so you can see where the powderiness is coming from. But the cardamom in this is almost powdery to me. This puts me in mind of a donut, a powdered donut, but have you ever had a cinnamon powdered donut? Now take the cinnamon out and replace that with a powdered cardamom, but still have that like icing sugar fine powdered coating. That's the type of powder that I get in here. I definitely get the caramel, I get the pink pepper, I get the ambergris, I get that little bit of saltiness. The only note that I don't really necessarily pick up is the agar wood. And it has oud in brackets. I know oud is formed in agar wood, but are they the same thing? I'm not exactly sure, but I don't pick up any oud in this, I'll just say. This is a super strong perfume. Like I said, this will last me 8 hours at least, and I can smell it the whole time on myself. I've heard people compare this to grape soda. I would never have thought that it smelled like grape soda, but after hearing it and smelling it, I can see it. That's the weird thing about perfume. Once you hear someone say something, you almost can't unsmell it. And now that someone has said, now that I've heard like the grape soda comparison, and then after smelling it, I'm like, oh yeah, I actually can smell a little bit of grape soda in this. That's a very, very nice sprayer. This really is beautiful, and like the best I can say is it kind of reminds me of if there was such thing as a cardamom powdered donut. That's kind of what it reminds me of. It's I do get a little bit of like a butteriness from that tuberose, and I do have a bit of a dent in this. You can't really see it unless you tip the bottle upside down because the juice kind of goes up into this gold. But I actually do use this a fair amount. I would say this is very unique, so you probably would want to sample it first. But once you do, if you find this for a good deal, it's definitely worth it. And this is Mercurial Cashmere by ELECTIMUSS. These are in no particular order, by the way, but the fourth one on my list is Burberry Goddess. And I do only have the travel spray of this right now. I would consider getting a full size. I know it's like a little bit pricey. Now the travel of this is $50 Canadian. It's still probably only 40 American. I really do enjoy the wearing experience of this. When I wear this, I get a really nice scent bubble, and it feels like a really cozy, like pleasant wearing experience. I really enjoy it. I feel like it's a really elevated vanilla. This has a lot of different types of vanilla, and it has vanilla, vanilla caviar, vanilla absolute. Also has cacao and lavender and ginger in it. But I don't find it like spicy and herbal in any way. I find that the lavender in this is not really detectable. Like I couldn't pick out lavender, at least my nose can't. But it gives me that relaxing, calming feeling that you get from lavender. So I don't really enjoy lavender in perfumes. I don't like lavender pillow sprays. I don't like lavender at all. But the lavender in Burberry Goddess, it's done sort of like the way, I would compare it to the way lavender is done in, let's say, Carolina Herrera Amethyst Haze. There's lavender in that, but I feel like it's very well blended into the vanilla. And the same with Maison Margiela Replica Coffee Break. I feel like the way that lavender is done in that one, it's not really, it doesn't overtake the perfume. Same with this. And the ginger in here is not spicy and fresh, say Goldfield & Banks Ingenious Ginger. That's a very bright and fresh herbally ginger. This would be more like how you would experience the ginger in Hugo Boss Deep Red, like a very powdery, warm, almost ginger cookie kind of ginger. And the cacao in here is not like a powdery chocolate, but it's a dry, woody chocolate. I'm picturing like the cacao nibs, like the little dry, crispy pieces of cacao. That's what this reminds me of. And that actually is fairly prominent on me, like that woody cocoa nib feeling. I absolutely love this. I mean, I know it's nothing crazy or groundbreaking, but there's just something about it that is comforting and cozy and relaxing, and it's just a really lovely wearing experience. What do you guys think of Burberry Goddess? Is it overhyped or do you really like it? And last but not least, one of my favorite vanillas, it's an oldie but a goodie, it's Armani Code. And this one, it opens up with a little bit of orange. It has orange and bitter orange in it. And then you get the jasmine, the florals coming in there. This also has ginger, but I would say that this ginger is also done the way it's done in Burberry Goddess, in the very like ginger cookie, powdery, warm ginger way. The overall effect gives me almost a coconut cream pie. This has honey in it, so it's not an animalic honey whatsoever. It's just a very sweet and pretty honey scent. The sandalwood in here is beautiful. Absolutely love the sandalwood that's in here. This is a classic. I mean, this is a 50 ml, but I think you can get the 75 ml for maybe $120 on the discount websites. So there's orange, jasmine, bitter orange, more jasmine, orange blossom, ginger, honey, vanilla, and sandalwood. The florals in here are super creamy. The sandalwood is creamy in here. Even the orange would be more like an orange creamsicle than just like a fresh orange. It does give me the overall feeling of something creamy, like a coconut cream pie or an orange creamsicle. Like I said, the ginger in here is a very warm, cookie-like ginger, not a fresh, zesty ginger. I've had this for a couple of years, but I remember when I first got it, I was just absolutely mesmerized with it. It is a very, like, again, this is a warm and creamy, comforting wearing experience. Yeah, you definitely get the orange in the opening, but when you're wearing this, you're not thinking orange. You're not thinking orange at all. You're thinking creamy, woody, honey. Just, this is beautiful. And it is a little bit powdery in a way, but not overly powdery at all. I love Armani Code, and I actually have Armani Code Cashmere and Armani Code Ultimate, I think, but I think those have both been decluttered. Because they're very similar to the original. This is a classic. I love this Armani Code. So if you stuck around to the end of the video, I told you I would tell you the 12 perfumes that I was choosing between, but when I was picking out these 5 vanilla perfumes and what dessert they reminded me of. I don't know why that popped into my head. There were a couple of them that kind of reminded me of desserts, and I'm like, I wonder if I was challenged to choose a dessert that would match with each of these perfumes. Could I do it? And like I said, even though these perfumes don't necessarily smell like desserts, they're not all just gourmand, I still could relate them to a dessert. So let's go through these. For Deck of Scarlet Maximalist, I chose a pineapple upside down cake with a sprig of rosemary on it, because you do have the fruitiness, you have the vanilla from that cake, and you have the freshness of that pine tree like I talked about from the rosemary. For Let's Be Real, I chose vanilla ice cream with salted caramel sauce. Burberry Goddess, I chose walnut brownies with no frosting, just dry walnut brownies because of that dryness from the cacao, and it's just kind of a plain, ordinary scent. So Bulgari Goldia, the Roman Night Absolute, I chose peanut butter pie. Armani Code, I chose toasted coconut pudding. Jean Paul Gaultier Scandale Le Parfum, I chose macadamia nut cookie with caramel pieces in it and white chocolate chips. So I'm picturing a macadamia nut cookie, but it's got those hard crunchy caramel pieces and white chocolate chips. For Anjou Diamant by Givenchy, I chose cinnamon powdered donuts served with a root beer float. YSL Black Opium Le Parfum, I chose cotton candy made from molasses. And ELECTIMUSS Mercurial Cashmere, a caramel latte. Elizabeth and James Nirvana Bourbon. I almost chose that in my top 5, but For that, the dessert I assigned to that was bread pudding baked in an oak crock. And as I was like smelling these and going through them, and after I had chosen the desserts, I smelled each of them with that dessert in mind. I'm like, yeah, I can kind of see that. And so Juliet Has a Gun Vanilla Vibes, Salted Maple Candies, and Yes I Am by Cacharel is a berry crumble. So I really had fun picking those out, and would you agree with any of those? Have you smelled them, and what do you think? What are your top favorite vanillas this winter? Let me know in the comments, and I'd love to chat with you guys. I really appreciate you guys clicking on that thumbnail, taking the time to spend here with me, and yeah, thank you. I'll see you next time. Bye.